That's the sound of a sale on Shopify. Ah, and there's another. Whether you've got a side hustle or just want to supercharge your sales, Shopify simplifies and supports your selling process. From in-store point of sale to its all-in-one e-commerce platform that includes Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. And you don't have to learn any new skills either. See how Shopify can transform your business. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com.au/Deb. T's and C's apply.
G'day, I'm Tim Ross, and the Cars That Made Australia podcast is pulling out of the driveway for a second season. From the cars that conquered the mountain to the imported monsters that made a new generation drool. Every car you see on the road is like a chapter in our big book of stories. Season 2 is out now. This is the story of the people who drove them and the people who rode in them. This is the story of the cars that made Australia.
Listening.
Have you done any, have you gathered your gifts, gathering nuts in May?
Yes, my nuts are all in a row, so it's all, not too much to do for us, so it's okay.
Just the little ones. You probably think, I'll just get them, something like a new Harley, for example.
Yes, as you do, just a brand new Tesla or something like that, just...
Is it just in my head that every pilot, and bless you, Tom Cruise, also drives a motorbike, rides a motorbike?
There's a few, not me. I'm too sensible. But, we certainly have quite a few guys that ride motorbikes and have their old bikes and, not little wussy Vespas and things, but, real gutsy kind of
what about all the people that love the Vespa?
Oh, they're awesome.
They're
and
great
in fact,
Italian bikes around.
The only time I've really ridden a motorbike, and I did it where you didn't need a license, was in Italy.
Yeah.
And I went with, when I was back in the day when I was a second officer, and we used to do these Rome trips, and we had a couple of days there, and the captain said to me, come on, I've got some friends that have friends on a little island called Isola del Giglio. And so we went over there. It became a little bit famous later on for terrible reasons, but we went there and hired these Vespas, and it was very hilly, a big hilly thing. And here I am going up and down, La Dolce Vita in my little motorbike. Nearly ran off the cliff once, but apart from that.
I know what you can in that part of the world. Do you remember that first time that you stepped foot into Italy?
Yes.
That moment. I don't know how many times you've been there, but I'm assuming a couple of times.
Yes.
Where it's just so. I don't know. There's a bit of intrigue about it, and the history, and the sunshine is different. It's just this lovely.
The people.
And the people.
And there's the carabinieri there, the military police as well as the normal police. And it was so funny because they were so transparent. We used to, as airline crew, you just go and show your passport and that was it. Anyway, one time happened to have a crew with a bunch of attractive women, and the customs guy, the carabinieri, said, oh no, we have to go through and stamp all the passports and check everything and all of that. We were there for ages, We pilots and the male flight attendants, they were shot straight through customs, and the young attractive ladies were held up there for some period of time. And I thought, this guy's trying hard.
Yeah,
good luck to him.
Good luck with that.
Good luck with that, exactly.
But now you've just put the wheels down.
I have, not long ago. Had 4 flights yesterday in Melbourne, today in Adelaide, still. Because we're, still not midnight there.
Not quite yet. Another 15 minutes, 16 minutes.
Exactly. So, did all of that. We went to Melbourne to Sydney, to Canberra, to Sydney, back to Melbourne.
Busy time of the year.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, the flights are just so
unusually
full. It seems so. I think, just people have... Well, after COVID, of course, there was a mad rush, and I think just that the general demand is settling down, and most of our flights are pretty busy. So that's good for for business.
I made a late minute inquiry about jumping on and doing 3 or 4 days in WA for a mate's 70th.
In WA
for a mate's 70th, and hooly dooly, hooly dooly. But I suppose that's the demand.
Well, it's supply and demand, isn't it? If you can get in early, you might get some cheaper fares. Sometimes at the last minute, if there are seats, the prices will drop, but generally, as there are fewer seats left, the prices go up, and that's everybody. I guess that's business. Yeah,
it's tough. What else is happening on the front?
Nothing much. It's all just been rather busy, but that's a good thing. I'd better to be busy than quiet. But I just when you were talking about computer says no.
Computer says no.
A friend of mine who was a A380 captain and sadly had to retire medically, but very, very quick-witted anyway. He's flying along and somewhere, I can't remember where they were, and this voice sort of comes on the radio. It was, whoever controlled this is Speedbird. Speedbird is British Airways call sign. Speedbird or whatever, request to climb. And they said, sorry, you can't because Qantas is sitting above you. And he goes, Qantas, whatever, this is the Speedbird, whatever. Are you able to climb to facilitate our climb? My mate, quick as a flash, goes, computer says no.
That's great.
Well, that was it.
It's very Dad's Army, really.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And he said the frequency just lit up with everybody just having you thinking that was hysterical. But it was just the perfect moment with British Airways.
Very funny. Nathan Koch is here, who is, as you know, a Qantas captain and a vet. We're happy to take your calls, 133 693. We've cleared the lines after Simon and Phil on the previous program here at the great radio station that is 3AW. 5AA are with us. If you have a question, certainly a pet question or an aviation question with Nathan Koch as we chew the fat in a range of issues for the next couple of hours or so. 133 693. 133 693. Text messages 0477 693 693. We'll do this. Plenty of time for your calls. It's all part of Australia Overnight. G'day, Tony and Nathan. Re Little Britain, also monster trucks. Yep, that's the one I want. Soon to be followed by I don't like it. That was another character. I don't like it.
Yeah,
Little Britain was hilarious.
But.
133 693. Do you want to take a couple of these calls? Brett in Albury. Hello.
Good morning, boys. How are we?
We're well, thank you.
Nathan, just want to see if you've seen any of the YouTube videos of the, I think they call it ATC.
Air traffic control, yes. I live it all day, every day.
Yeah. So have you seen on YouTube any of the comical YouTube videos?
There's various ones going around, but...
so which ones do you refer, Brett?
Yeah, Australian ones, or are these international ones?
I think they're American because it's FedEx.
Oh, yes. They come here too, though, but yes.
Yeah, but have you heard the nickname for FedEx?
Oh, you.
Do we need to hit the dump button? Are we ready?
Finger on the button, Brett.
Well, Fat Donkey.
Okay.
As in, what's another word for a donkey? A rear end, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, so FedEx, you're running 2 hours late. Give me a break. I'm trying to land a 380. You told me to go around 3 times. Yeah,
yes.
Well, that's because you're causing so much wind turbulence with your FA,
Yes.
with your fat donkey. And
yeah, the American air traffic controllers are not known for their sense of humour. They get very cranky very quickly.
They?
Oh, yeah.
Do they?
And the funniest thing is, Americans are the slowest speaking people around until you put them behind a microphone on air traffic control. Then it's, it's really quick. The legend has it there was an old Qantas captain many years ago in Los Angeles, whatever, is, do this, do that, climb here, descend there, do whatever. And the guy gets back, the captain gets back on the radio and he goes, Los Angeles control. He says, you know how slow I'm talking? And the guy goes, yeah. And he goes, well, that's how fast I can listen.
That's great. That's brilliant.
Yes.
Well done, Brett. Thank you. Leanne, hello to you.
Hello, Nathan and Tony.
Hey, Leanne.
Love Little Britain.
Thank you. It's a great show, isn't it?
That's another character. And
which one is it?
Anne is in the mental hospital.
Oh, they couldn't get away with any of that
No,
now,
I
could
don't
they?
think so, Lee.
Oh,
No.
gee.
Anyway.
Yes.
Anyway, I've got 3 questions I'd like to ask you, Nathan.
Okay.
All attached in one.
Hang on, Leanne, just before we get to your question, I can see that Michael Crawford is on the other line. Yes, Mr. Crawford, are you there?
I am indeed. Thank you very much. I don't
fly on aeroplanes. I'm very scared.
So
And I
you
can't
don't
take
like
a cab,
aeroplanes?
And I can't take Betty and Jessica.
Well, how do you travel around the world when you're doing shows?
I'll go by ship.
Yes, by ship. Mr. Crawford, always lovely to have you on the program. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Okay, bye.
Hello. Goodbye.
No one's done a
Hello.
whoopsie in your
Goodbye.
beret, have they?
No,
No,
Careful.
he hasn't done one yet. Actually,
Okay,
he's been
good.
very good. Little
Okay.
Bruce has been very good.
Okay,
He
Mr.
hasn't-
Crawford, get off.
He hasn't done that in the hat. Anyway, I've
Yes,
got
good.
three questions for
Yes.
Nathan.
Yeah.
I've got how
Love this
fast
program.
is takeoff
Yeah.
and landing in a Jetstar A320? Is Tenerife still the worst air disaster to date? And when did they put Doppler radar in the nose of aircraft? Was it after a disaster?
Oh,
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
The first one, yes, the accident at Tenerife, I think it was 1975, is still considered the worst aviation accident where two jumbos collided on the runway. A long, long story, and that was a watershed for all of us in the industry because that's when we started doing our human factors training, or what they called at the time CRM, crew resource management, because there were a number of points at which it all could have been prevented. And it didn't happen. So yeah, that's when training changed for all of us. And because they don't consider September 11 as an accident. Doppler radar, I couldn't tell you the date. There's all sorts of advances in weather radar that we have, so I can look that up. And we can do that. But yeah, that was Tenerife was still the world's worst aviation accident a long time ago. But like with all these things, we need to learn something from it, and we have learnt a whole lot from that. So hopefully those people haven't died in vain, and certainly the industry has changed a lot because of what happened then.
Thank you, Leanne. You're always great fun. Thank you for that. Jeff in Flemington. Morning, Jeff. Say hello to Nathan Koch.
David, how are you?
I'm Tony Mack and Nathan Koch is here. Jeff, go.
Yeah, I'm not the David. I'm the one with the hair. You've confused Tony and anyway.
Just a funny thing happened to us. We had a factory in Tottenham a few years ago, and one morning we came in and there was a hole in the roof. It was a fibro cement about the size of a shoebox, and directly underneath it landed on a bench, whatever it was, and it was just water. So in those days I rang, I think it was DCA or one of those people to come out because we were on the line on the north-south runway approach, coming in from... And they come in, they said, that's right, it has come off a jet aircraft. When they come down, there's a small... like a bleeder or something that comes off, and there's water, and it becomes ice in the air. And when the aircraft comes down, and it starts to melt, it just drops it. And it was quite funny. I couldn't believe it, but I have heard of things falling off planes, but not that one. Is that still the case? I think it's from the rear, some sort of water catch thing out of one of the basins or something.
No, generally the out of the water basins and things that goes into a tank, it doesn't drip. There is a story many years ago, and they call it blue ice because back in the day, the old toilets used to have a blue water through them. Nowadays, they're vacuum toilets and they use very little water. But in the day, the water used to recycle. And in fact, on the way into Narita Airport in Japan, there was an aircraft that had a bit of a leak in the tank. And there was a block of blue ice. They used to call it blue ice because, of course, it was blue.
Just writing
and
it
when
down.
they
Had a bit of a leak in the tank.
Bit of a leak in the. Someone had a leak in the tank. Yes, no, there was. Yes, quotable quotes. But yeah, so there was a leak and there was a block of ice because, of course, up at the altitudes that we fly, it's sort of minus 56 degrees. And when they put their undercarriage down, this block of blue ice came off with the undercarriage and actually fell and killed somebody in Tokyo. So ever since then in Narita, there is a requirement when you use that runway that you have to put the wheels down before you cross the coast. all as a result of what happened all those years ago. So it doesn't usually happen. It can. We do get little bits of ice on the wing. We have anti-ice. We get little bits of ice under the windscreen wipers and that sort of thing. But generally speaking, no. Because as I say, it's changed now. The blue ice doesn't happen because the toilets are a vacuum toilet that use very small amounts of water as opposed to just recycling the blue water that they used to. So it shouldn't be an issue these days. But yes, it certainly was an issue back in the day.
Well done. It's a great call. Thank you for that. 133693. Speaking of when you go for a little you and me on an aircraft, why is it that could they make them any smaller? Could they make them any more tiny?
Yes.
Surely at some point somebody said, well, we could probably go 2 or 3 inches either side. Just a little more space would be nice.
Well, if you travel first class, Tony, you'll find that the bathrooms are quite sizable. But yes, it also depends on the aeroplane, on the 737, on the A320 there, because the fuselage is so curved that, there's not a whole lot of room on the wide bodies. There's certainly more room in the bathrooms. So, yeah, they are pretty... It's all about space. Everything's about space. And obviously they want to try and put as many seats in the aircraft as they possibly can. So the bathrooms are made small.
Great little text here. We'll take more of your calls in a tick. 133693. G'day, Nathan. A 3-year-old Kelpie, skinny as, runs around the yard all day.
Yeah.
What can I feed him to fatten him up just a little bit? You can see his rib cage through his skin and coat.
Okay.
He eats a can of tin food and dry every day. Vet said he's healthy, but very, very skinny.
Okay.
Had a few stomach operations. He's eaten lots of things.
Yep.
Shouldn't have as a puppy and have got stuck in the bowel. Sticks, plastic pieces, it goes on. Any advice? Cheers, Thomas.
Sure. The operations and things that he may have affected his digestion a little bit. You don't say there if any intestine was removed because of all of that. Dogs, like people, it depends on their metabolism, but if you do want to try and feed him up, the thing to do, not just give him one big meal, but give him several small meals during the day. And then make sure you're using a good quality canned food. The canned foods are more energy dense than the dry foods. So eating a certain volume of canned food will give them more calories than eating the same volume of dry food. So see if you can do that. But they can't hold all that much in their stomach at one time. So if you're only feeding them once a day, then split it up and increase the amount of food and see if that makes a difference. But it might just be you've got a dog with a very rapid metabolism. The other thing that they can do is the vet can test the feces to make sure that there's no undigested food in there. There are certain breeds, particularly German Shepherds. Olio, yours is a Kelpie. That can have a failure in some of their digestive enzymes. So the food passes through, even though they're eating plenty, it's not being digested properly. So if you have any doubts, then you can ask them to check for what we call EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, and just make sure that all the food that's being eaten is digested properly. Otherwise, small meals through the day and increase the amount of food by, even 20% or so, and see if that makes a difference.
Thank you for that. Justin, will come to you the other side, and you as well. Come and join us, 133693. For the text line, keep on ticking over, 0477 693 693. There's one there that says, what's that one there about grandchild? The same message each night, Tony. A little tired of it, thank you. Why not follow up with can you just blow that one up for me, Joe? Follow up with a Merry Christmas, or how many days until Santa comes, followed by Happy New Year, etc. Thank you, that's from Marion. The only problem is I can no longer afford her fee, Marion.
Well, you did get her an agent, Tony.
Yeah,
I mean, it's your fault, really.
I know, and now they want about $55 every single spot. Just going back to that lovely Leanne, who does a brilliant impersonation of Crawford. Some mothers do have them. What's the character's called? Frank Spencer. Yeah, Frank Spencer. Thank you.
Sorry, yeah.
Francis Spencer.
Yes.
It's very, very clever. But I think he moved for health reasons, didn't he, to New Zealand?
Yes, we've been looking that up, and he did. Just a little beach north of Auckland, because he had chronic fatigue syndrome. And he tried everything and it didn't work. But going to the purified atmosphere and simpler life in New Zealand, he says it saved his life. And he comes visiting Australia regularly. 'cause
Chronic
he has a
fatigue.
daughter.
Chronic fatigue. Who's the other there's a well-known footballer
Yes,
that had
Sydney footballer.
Was it
He's
Sydney
in
or
the
Brisbane?
media. Alistair Lynch.
It was Alistair Lynch,
Yes,
wasn't it?
Brisbane.
And it was debilitating
Yes.
for Alistair Lynch.
Yep. So, and a
Chronic
friend
fatigue.
of mine had it as well, and she, most bubbly, energetic person, kindergarten teacher, and ended up, just was a zombie for quite some time. So just couldn't move, couldn't get out of bed, couldn't do anything.
Anybody that
Terrible.
knows a bit about chronic fatigue, give us a call. Love to hear you talk about it. Find out more about it. 133693. Plenty of room on the board. You'll get through straight away. Justin, hello.
Hello, Tony Mac. Long time no hear.
It's always good to hear your voice. Say hello to Nathan Koch, Justin.
Hello, Justin.
How are you, Nathan?
Very well. How are you travelling, Justin?
Good. Now, I've got two questions. One is, this evening when I was outside having a smoke out the front, I saw a magpie flying around at night. Now, is that common for a magpie to fly around at night?
First thing, why are you smoking, Justin? Give them up.
Yeah, very good question.
We want you to listen for a long time. Give them up. Now, having said that,
Yeah.
do you have it? Were there any outdoor lights on, outside lights, where the magpie was
Yes,
flying
there
around?
was no, there was actually I was actually on the road chasing a bug.
Yes, because what you often see, and I can remember some years ago. I don't know if they still do it at Crown Casino, where they have this flame thing, this fire thing happening, and
At the front
they did
there on
that-
the boardwalk.
Yeah, I don't know if they do that anymore, but they used to. And what would happen, of course, because they had the lights on, that would attract the moths. And along with the moths came the seagulls to eat the moths. And then they'd be flying along, going after the moths, and then they'd let loose this gas, and there was this great plume of fire, and they ended up with toasted seagull. So I think that was a thing that they, one of the reasons why they stopped doing it.
Right,
Also,
so
they
it's-
said it was a terrible waste of gas just
Yeah.
for the sake of nothing. But if there were lights around in the street lights and there were bugs out there, then yes, you will get birds out at night. You often see seagulls and things out, say on the Balti Bridge if I'm driving home late, because the way that it's lit, it attracts the bugs. And once you attract the bugs, you attract the birds. So even though they're not normally nocturnal, because we have artificial light, then that will get their food source out, so they go with it.
Okay, and the second question is the Lockerbie disaster.
Yes.
Right? I just seen a documentary on ABC. Now, I think that was a hijacked plane. Am I correct or not?
No, it wasn't. What happened was that, and again, that changed the way we do things. There was a person who checked in with a suitcase with a bomb on it, and the suitcase went into the hold, and then the person didn't turn up to the flight.
Oh.
And so the aircraft took off, and then they were able to detonate the bomb, and it ended up being over Lockerbie, and that brought the Pan Am plane down. Ever since then, if the person doesn't turn up, and we do have it happen from time to time, then they have to go through all the baggage and remove the bag, because if the person's not there, the bag doesn't go. And that's as a result of what happened at Lockerbie.
And that's international law.
Yeah, everywhere does that. Yeah, because of what happened. And even though bags are screened now, even as our bags are screened when we go in through the scanner upstairs, the suitcases are scanned downstairs as well. So I think that would pick that up anyway. But just as a matter of policy, just in case there's something there that isn't going to get picked up, that if you don't turn up, and as I say, we do see it reasonably regularly, and I never understand why, because if your bag's there and you've checked it in, you must be at the airport somewhere. You don't just disappear and leave your bag there. But it is a rule if someone gets off or doesn't turn up for the flight or gets off the plane, the bag has to go with them.
What about when those announcements are made? There was where was I over the weekend? Might have been in a supermarket, a large supermarket, starting with W. And the person was making announcements for the store on random things. I can't even remember what it was, but it was just this debilitating screech, almost a yell type voice. And I'm thinking, surely if I put my hand up and said, look, why don't I take you in? I could do some training for microphone technique for those sorts of announcements, which would be a far more enjoyable experience for the customers.
Yes.
It really, the trousers
Where
dropped
did you
down.
get it?
It was a bit like
Remember
that. And I'm thinking, you don't need to yell into the
No.
microphone. The microphone
No.
will do the work.
Yes.
However, presumably it was a young person who
No
was
training, no nothing.
probably,
That's
I'm
it.
thinking.
Yes. I can remember when I started, back in the day, when I started in radio, and I'll always remember the program director at Triple M, Lee Simon, who's a legend of the turf around
Morning,
the place.
Lee.
Hello, Lee, if you're listening. Why are you listening? You should be asleep. But he said to me, here's this young junior burger about to start in radio, and he said, now remember, when you're doing something on radio, you're not standing in the middle of the MCG with a megaphone trying to get everybody's attention out in the stands. He said, imagine yourself just sitting down next to someone and just talking to them. And that's what radio is. Radio is a very intimate medium, even though hopefully we're speaking to, well, at least a dozen people now listening. And so it's a matter of just sort of trying to be there and talk to people as if I'm just talking to you in conversation. That's the nice thing about this gig, because I can look at you and we can just have a chit-chat, and that's the level that it should be, rather than ladies and gentlemen and all of that sort of stuff. It's just,
Did you have, I don't know, sorry for 5AA listeners, but the previous program that played that wonderful interview with Clive Robertson, which is fantastic, and a great broadcaster when he was doing things at the ABC, particularly in Sydney, was engaging. And then when he did that TV program, I think on 9, where he was reading the late night news.
Yes, it was. He took over from Graham Kennedy,
And it was fantastic.
Threw his comments in at the end. News readers are all, they can't make comment. You just got to report the news and then leave it at that.
Yeah.
But he always used to throw in some things at the end. And, he was like the grumpy old Grinch, wasn't he, really? Just the bad things that he said. But it was very dry and very witty and very clever.
And I reckon that'd work again, to have that very casual approach, where as much as we love people like Peter Hitchener and others, that model has been in place for as long as you and I can remember.
Yes.
Of that very direct, tell the news, read the stories, make no comment about it. But I think there's room now for, a great broadcaster like Peter, and Peter could do it beautifully, to actually pass comment, to explain further in a very natural way what's going on.
Or if a story's annoyed you, why don't you say that it's annoyed you, or if you've got some feelings about it, because, they basically just say...
Synthetic almost.
Yeah, it is. And I guess it has to be. You're not... Unless it's going to be an opinion piece, I suppose you're just reporting the news and that's it. But if you make no bones about, look, this is the news plus the opinion of the person who's going to be doing it, well, I think you're right. That's okay. It just makes it a bit more entertaining. I remember... Graham Kennedy and John Mangos that started to do it.
Yeah.
And Graham, of course, had John absolutely in fits most nights. And it was still, you'd get the news, but there was also a bit of entertainment, and that requires someone who is just brilliant with ad-libbing and someone who can just throw in the appropriate comment quickly and just do it at the right time.
Tony and Nathan, question was how fast takeoff landing for a big plane, an A320, for example?
Yes, so all of the aircraft, it really depends on the length of the runway, the weight of the aircraft, and various other things like the temperature. If there's a strong headwind, that slows us down over the ground. If there's just no wind or a little bit of tailwind, that speeds us up. So we're looking probably somewhere in the order of about 200, 220 kilometres an hour when we're landing. Similar speed when we take off. So these things are really good at speeding up quickly and stopping quickly, but that's around about the speed that we would be doing.
Thank you for that, Doris. We'll come to you next. 133 693 is the telephone number if you'd like to join us. We just sit here and chew the fat on a Monday morning. Anything you want to raise on the program? If you have a sick puppy or a sick pussycat or much-loved pet, feel free to join us because, as you know, Nathan is a highly qualified, long-standing vet as well as a Qantas captain. 133 693. More of your calls straight after this. Nathan Koch is here. I'm Tony Mac. A couple of weeks ago, Nathan, we're talking about books that you read as a child, or certainly books that you may have read to your children and or grandchildren.
Yes.
I'm reminded today that Hans Christian Andersen's second book of fairy tales, published on this day way back in 1835. But you look at things like the great stories that he did, inspired Tom Thumb was the Thumbelina.
Yes.
just one of them. Fantastic for Hans Christian Andersen.
Yes.
So if you've ever read the Hans Christian Andersen, or if you had a favourite children's book back in the day, what was it for you? 133693. Cat in the Hat was probably the first one for me.
Yeah,
as a
Dr.
child.
Seuss, absolutely.
Was
Oh,
brilliant.
how good were they? And his rhymes and his words are so
Easy.
clever.
Thing 1 and Thing 2.
Yes.
You
And
remember
red,
it like...
one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish.
Yes. And the other one, Tale of Peter Rabbit, Beatrix Potter, first published 1901.
Okay.
Little Peter Rabbit had a fly upon his nose.
There you go.
This is a veterinary question.
But the other thing with Hans Christian Andersen, I mean, for me, I didn't know too much about his stories and things, but the movie with Danny Kaye back in the day,
Yes.
how good was that when he played Hans Christian Andersen?
He did.
Very
That was
good.
Great
Yeah,
Danny
it's fantastic.
Kaye. Little Peter Rabbit had a fly upon his nose. How did he get rid of it?
Mortine?
No. You've not heard the song?
Vaguely.
Little
I've tried
Peter-
to block it out.
Work with me.
Okay.
Little Peter Rabbit had a fly upon his nose, and he flipped it and
Oh,
he
that's
flopped
right.
it, and the fly flew away.
That's it.
Don't know what's-
Unlike the lady who swallowed a fly. I don't know why she swallowed a fly.
Why did she swallow that fly?
Well, perhaps she'll die.
Perhaps she did. 133693. Doris, morning.
You two are such tax.
Do you remember it?
Sorry. Oh, yeah. I was a teacher, and I actually sing those things when I walk Darcy. Well, anyway, two things. Thank you very much for all your information, Nathan. You have helped me and a lot of my friends more than, like my vet that I went to in the past. He was excellent.
Yes.
But you are very, very clear in the way you say things, and I thank you for that.
No, thank you. That's very kind of you to say.
And the second, are you going on holidays at all?
I'm not. Tony
are you
is. 'Cause
are you taking leave? I mean,
I'm not, but Tony is because, of course, he works.
I know he's
5
slack.
nights. Oh, okay. All right.
But, and also,
We're not talking about you, Tony. Why don't you just nick off for a few
Yeah, I'll
minutes?
just
And
leave.
Doris and I'll just have a bit of a chat here.
You two want me to leave?
Yeah, that's it. We just need a bit of us time. Sorry,
No, and also-
I'm working right through. I'm actually working Christmas Day, Boxing Day, the 27th. So, yeah, that's a very busy time for us flying-wise, and I do tend to volunteer to work because that allows the people with young children or younger children to have Christmas
Good on
off
you.
so that they can have the time with their kids when it, means, I won't say it means more, but it's just a different kind of dynamic. And a lot of my colleagues will just do Christmas on, if they're working over Christmas, they'll do it before or after and just try and work around it. But yeah, I'm happy to work on the main days, and it's actually very pleasant when you're in there because people are in a good mood. Up until Christmas Eve, everybody is cranky as you will know if you go anywhere near any car park near any shopping centre.
Oh, yeah.
If people had a death ray on their cars, I tell you what, there'd be carnage. But once it gets to Christmas and that's all over, then I find everybody just chills and get into the holiday spirit, and then it's just a different dynamic altogether.
Yeah. Also, is it a fact or a fallacy? I heard years ago that when people used to smoke on planes, there were less people that got sick because the nicotine killed bacteria.
No.
I heard that, I'm sure, but I'm not sure if it's fact or fallacy.
You heard it from whom?
Facebook, so it must be true.
No. This was 200 years ago.
Okay.
No,
It was written on
a
a stone
long time
tablet
ago.
somewhere,
That's right.
dragged up from, some excavation site in ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
Yes.
But a lot of people get sick more so now that there's no smoking.
No, I don't think so.
parents-
I think it's just that we've got longer flights, we've got bigger aircraft with more people. So, I mean, the odds of getting sick are probably a little bit higher. The only positive that I've ever heard about nicotine or about smoking on aircraft is that there was a Japan Airlines aeroplane, a jumbo, that actually lost its tail. And the poor pilots could do absolutely nothing about it. And when they were sifting through the wreckage to try and find out why the whole back end of the aeroplane fell off, what they discovered was that a pressurised aeroplane is a bit like a pressure cooker. And so it's pumped up inside with a higher pressure, and so we can breathe. Otherwise, the air would be too thin up at altitude and too cold. So there was some damage to the bulkhead or the back of the pressure vessel, if you like. And so they fitted an extra plate on the back of it, and they didn't do it quite properly. And eventually, after many cycles, we call it, when the fuselage, when the pressure is pumped up and released and pumped up and released, every flight is called a cycle. Over a period, eventually there was a crack developed, and that just sort of spread, and the whole rear end of the aeroplane fell off. When they were looking at this, and they were looking at this plate and this repair, the only way that they could see that there was cracks, and they could see that there was actually a little bit of space between the repair and the old back of the pressure vessel, if you like, was the fact that back in the day, people used to smoke, and so the air flowing through, the circulation of the air, dragged some nicotine and tar in between these two plates, and so they could see that there was a gap between them, because there shouldn't be a gap between them. So it was the fact that people had been smoking that they were able to eventually work out why this blew the back of the tail off the aeroplane.
When you think about it, I mean, it's not that long ago, really, that people were allowed to smoke. Well, when I say it's probably more than 20 years now, would it? It
would be, yes, definitely. And I can remember, I mean, I've always hated cigarette smoke, and the first two rows were smoking and the rows behind weren't. And I mean, really, that worked very well. It was a bit different in something like a jumbo that had different compartments, and there was a whole compartment with the different ventilation and everything, so you could have a whole section of smoking. But then when it was in one of the domestic aeroplanes, and there were a couple of rows of smoking, and then immediately behind was non-smoking, well, I mean, you copped as much as the people doing the smoking, I think. But then, it all went away. I remember at the time there was outrage. People saying they're not going to be able to cope, and they're not going to be able to stand it. They're not going to be able to, to manage. And well, people seem to have. And I understand people who are heavy smokers, and it's an addiction. But you can't do it.
It's a bit like when you think about it, you go up to the counter and they'd say, would you like smoking or non-smoking?
Yes, that's right.
It was bizarre. The person in front of you could be smoking.
Yeah, exactly.
But because you were sitting in whatever row it was behind, you couldn't smoke.
That's right.
And yet, you weren't going to get some of that smoke coming across.
Exactly. And I can remember in the movie Flying High 2, in the sequel, and there was Hare Krishna Airlines, and they asked, would you like chanting or non-chanting?
That's right. That's a very funny line. Chanting or non-chanting? We'll go the non-chanting.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much. When we come back, plenty of time for your calls. That hour's flash past. To Leo, you stay there. We'll come to you the other side. It'll be good to chat the other side of the news. You can be first up, 133 693, 133 693. And if you're sending a message, we try to get to as many messages as we can via the text line as well, which is 0477 693 693. The lovely Carolee Katzenbarnis from our 3AW newsroom. Very kindly bring just the one Lindt dark chocolate ball.
Oh, you got to love a Lindt ball, don't you?
Did you get dark or...
No, I was given dark.
Too dark?
2 darks.
So we could share one during the news together.
We can do that. I'll get the knife and fork out from the kitchen.
And just slice it deliberately in half.
We can do that.
We will enjoy that together.
Yes.
Plenty of text. Come and join us the other side of the news. Your phone calls are most welcome. It is open line. We have a very casual, cruisy sort of a Monday morning, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. You might be trying to nod off. It's great to have your company. 133 693.
Now, this is Australia Overnight with Tony McManus.
Plenty of text coming through. Need a couple of callers to keep us busy. 133 693. Leo, you disappeared. Come back and join us. Leo, morning. Has Nathan ever come across Santa whilst you've been flying for the girls and boys? From time to time, you spot him in the distance.
In the distance, and Air Services Australia track him. So if anyone has young children or grandchildren that they want to do something with, have a look at the Air Services Australia website on Christmas Eve, and they do quite a whole deal about tracking Santa across the skies. We end up having to hold to let him through. But anyway, we figured that it's okay.
Yeah, it's fair to do it because it's only for that sort of 48-hour or less time frame.
That's it.
Yeah.
And, who are we to stand in the way of children and their presents?
And nor should we. Do we know if Father Christmas lobs in from the east, or is he coming across from WA?
I would suspect that he'd be coming in from the international date line, so probably starting off in the Pacific,
right? Because
that's the first place in the world where Christmas begins.
New Zealand and that.
Yeah, so the some of the Pacific Islands. I think is it Samoa or Tonga or something that is the first place where the day begins. So start there and then gradually move west.
And then
until it goes all the way back around to, say, Hawaii.
Yes.
Which is probably the last place or thereabouts in the world, and then back up to the North Pole.
I know
for a well-earned rest.
He usually has there's a lovely hotel in a suburb called Burnside.
Burnside. I lived for a little while in
Adelaide.
Burnside.
And there's a great pub there in Burnside.
Yes. Burnside Village.
The Burnside Village Shopping Centre is fantastic. And I know he likes to call in there, girls and boys. So if you haven't been to the Burnside Village for a little while, get Grandma and Grandpa to spend as much money as possible on you.
Have you got shares in the joint or something?
No, not necessarily there, but just on the children.
On the children, of course.
To go and see Father Christmas there.
Yes.
Maggie, good morning. Yes, Maggie, anytime you're ready. Good morning.
Oh, hello.
Hello, Maggie.
Maggie, you sound like you've gone down to the back of the backyard of the outdoor loo.
Oh, no, I don't have a long drop, no.
No. Okay. Oh.
You know the trouble with a long drop, after a period of time it becomes a short drop.
Oh, really? Oh, please explain.
No, as it fills up.
No, we don't. We don't need to continue that at all. Both of you stop it now.
Why stop it? A little bit of frivolity. No, for goodness sake, why can't we have a bit of fun?
Yes, Tony, you're such a Grinch.
I'm sorry. Okay. Grinch.
Yes.
Thank you.
The Grinch that stole Christmas. So what's on your mind, Maggie? How can we help?
Oh, many things. No, you can't help. But,
okay.
No,
I'm helpless, or you're helpless.
Hopeless.
Hopeless. No, helpless.
Oh, right. No. You're both very, very capable.
Thank you, Maggie. Thank you.
Yeah, and you're to be congratulated and so appreciated.
You ought to be congratulated.
We get the Meadow Lee Award.
No. Come on, boys. Now, I want to talk about clotheslines.
Clotheslines?
Yeah.
Okay. Hills hoists?
No. But they were great, weren't they? Until they disappeared.
Very, very Adelaide, the Hills family.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I've heard of the Adelaide Hills.
Oh,
was that them?
Have?
No, the Hills hoist started in South Australia.
Okay. How many times do you fly over the Adelaide Hills, Nathan?
Sorry, how high did you say?
No, how not high. How high? How many times do you fly?
It depends. It depends whether. It depends which way the wind's blowing, because if it's a southwesterly, which it usually is, then we come in over the Adelaide Hills and we land to the southwest there on runway 23 in Adelaide. But if it's the other way, if it's got any sort of northerly component, then we come in across Glenelg North and we land up to the northeast. So it really just depends on the wind.
Oh, yeah. I could say that, but, I'd like to say something a bit more about all this.
Yes, what's that, Maggie? What would you like to say?
I could say a bit more. There's no way I'd like to live in North Adelaide because that's where you get a lot of air traffic. But that's beside the point.
Well, I used to live in Glenelg North there, and that was just right by the side of the runway. And it's kind of like so many things, you get used to the noise, like people that live by main roads or railway lines and things. And, it was, you just kind of forget about it after a little while.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so let me get back to the clothesline.
Yes, clotheslines.
It's to do with spiders, magpies, and miners. Now, look, why is the clothesline an attraction? And I saw another little spider just the other night. And then I did read spiders before I get to the magpies and miner.
Yep.
I did read there is one particular spider that can rotate, I don't know how much per second.
A spinning spider or something?
A spider, yeah. Have you heard of that one?
No, because they... no, I don't know. I mean, I know spiders will make houses inside the clotheslines and things because there's areas where they can. And I think birds happily perch on clotheslines because it gives them an elevated spot. And I think if the clothesline's turning in the wind, then it just gives them a little bit of motion. But because it's raised and because it's in the open, that gives them a chance to spot some prey. So I have no doubt that clotheslines are attractive for birds to park on so that they can have a look at what's going on around them.
Yeah, do you know what I found quite curious? Just recently on my clothesline, there was perched a magpie and a miner. I like the magpies. I absolutely dislike the miners.
Well, I think the miners are an introduced species, and the magpies are natives. So, and the miners are pretty aggressive birds, and they certainly will displace other birds from around the area. And I guess even from an aesthetic point of view, their call or their screech is not pleasant to the ear, like the warble of a magpie or some of the other birds that we have around the place. So yeah, I mean the miner birds are really well. Technically, I suppose, are a pest, and but they've made a home here.
What's
now
the distinction between a miner and a sparrow? Are they related?
I wouldn't think. A sparrow's just a little
one.
bit, but the miners are bigger. The Indian miners,
Bigger, are they?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're quite a lot bigger, and they've got the brown bodies and the black heads and the orange or yellow beaks. So yeah, quite a different species altogether. But they are quite aggressive, whereas sparrows just go about their business. And I think sparrows are native as well, whereas the miners are introduced.
Have you and I ever talked? Thank you, Maggie. Have you and I ever talked about bats?
Bats in the Belfry?
The bats, particularly in, say, places like far north Queensland, Cairns,
Yes.
the main street of Cairns.
Oh yeah,
Sometimes
they're
the
flying foxes.
noises,
Yeah, I know. They've moved them on. They used to live a lot in a big, I think it was a mangrove tree, or not a mangrove tree, a ficus tree, something like the what do you call them? I've forgotten. But massive tree just near the courthouse in Cairns, and they would be hundreds of them hanging upside down.
And the noise.
And then they would fly across the water to a little island on the other side of the bay, and obviously there are fruits and things that they would go and eat. And I can remember one of the hotels where we used to stay at. I actually took photos. The bats used to just come straight at you if you stayed on the upper floors, and then just veer off at the last minute. But hundreds and hundreds of them. And the noise that they made and all the, their poop and everything on the footpath, they were a big deal. But I think they've moved them on up in Cairns. But there's certainly pockets even in Melbourne. And I know they were in the Botanic Gardens as well at some stage, or along the Yarra at some stage. And I think people have moved them, they've moved them on, but, they just find somewhere else to nest, and they do nest in, congregate in very large numbers.
Anywhere else that you've got the what do you call them? The bats. If you've got any near you, 133693, I'd like to find out. Had a pet spider on the clothesline, as says Phantom. It pegged out yesterday.
Oh.
Thank you. Has the vet, that's you, still got a home to go to?
Yes, I do.
You do.
It doesn't get used very often, but I do. I do. A little place I call my own.
Spiders and clotheslines have a deadliest denim. Have the deadliest denim. He's on fire again.
The Phantom.
Lisa, we'll come to you very shortly. 133693 if you'd like to join us. Di and Craig waiting as well. It is Australia Overnight. Lovely text from Jean for you. Says, Jets and Pets, my favourite segment on 3AW. Nathan and Tony Mack, thank you very much. And,
thank you, Jean.
Compliments of the season.
Yes, I'm glad you listen and hope you enjoy it. And thank you very much. That's why we're here.
Lisa in Werribee, hi.
Good morning, Nathan and Tony.
Hello, Lisa.
Nathan, I have a question. I have a 2-year-old Harrier who has allergies. We think it's a grass allergy.
Yep.
He's been afflicted since October. We've done 3 courses of steroids and antibiotics.
Mm-hmm.
After the 3rd course, it had completely cleared up. But as soon as he finished, it came back again. The rash goes on his whole entire underneath and very red and inflamed. So they've started him on a daily tablet for a month. We're 2 weeks in, and it's not cleared it up completely. He's much better than he was,
right.
But he still has patches.
Do you know what tablet is it, Lisa?
I don't know. They didn't put the name on the bottle.
Oh, really? Well, that's a bit naughty.
Yeah.
They should do.
It cost $145 for the month.
Is it Apoquel? Does that name ring a bell?
One. Yes, that's the one.
Okay.
Yes. Do I persist and wait for the next 2 weeks, or should I take him back earlier is my question.
If it is improving, I would say stick with it a little bit longer. If it has sort of reached a plateau and it's not where you'd like it to be, then I think it's time to go back. But otherwise, I would try the month. Look, there are a few things. And the problem with any allergy, I mean, the medications that you're using, and there are an injection called Cytopoint that lasts anything up to 3 months. It's not cheap either, but you just do the injection under the skin and that's it. So it's much easier to use than the daily tablets. Then you've got Apoquel, and then, you know, if cost is a problem, then we can go back to good old cortisone, and as long as that's used judiciously, that's good. But the problem with any allergy is we're not curing it, because as long as your dog's exposed to what it is that's causing the problem, and that'll, if you say that it's grass, short of getting rid of all the applicable grasses, as soon as your dog gets in touch with it again, it's going to cause the allergy. So all we're trying to do, or all we're able to do really, is to control the symptoms of the allergy. If they get really bad and you get an infection, then hence the antibiotics. But otherwise, then you just need the anti-inflammatory. So as I say, if the Apoquel seems to be helping and it's improving, then I think go with it for the month, and then definitely go back. Don't wait too long after you finish, because if the allergen is still there, and some of these grasses and things we find are a problem only when they're growing or seeding, and so through the winter months you'll find that they're not a big deal, and then you might be able to get away with having your dog off all the medications over the winter, but start up again as soon as the grasses start to grow. So but I wouldn't leave it too long, because if it's working, it might be something that you need to keep your dog on probably up until February, March or so of next year, while the grasses are dry and seeding and that type of thing. But there might be, as I say, if you're finding the cost is prohibitive, then cortisone works very well as long as it's used carefully, and that might not solve your problem, but keep it under control, because you're not going to be able to cure it. We can't really cure the allergies.
Yeah, well, the cost isn't the issue.
Okay.
I mean, it costs what it costs, so that he's not, distressed.
Have you tried the Cytopoint injections with him at all?
No, I haven't.
Have a chat to the vet and see what they say.
Yeah.
They might have a reason for not wanting to use it, but they last. You give them an injection, it works very well for about 60%. Another 20% or so need a second injection, and another 10% or so need a third injection. And then if you do get it settled, then you can just use it as needed. So through the winter months, you won't need it, but if you're in the summer months, then you might need to use it a little more often. And it's doesn't have anything in the way of side effects, but it just means you're not having to get tablets down every day, and it might work out a little bit more cost effective for you. Have a look at the costs, and as I say, have a chat to your vet and see what they think might be the best for you.
Thank you, Lisa. Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Merry Christmas to you both. Thank you.
Yeah, bye. Miners always thought introduced to Indian, but then heard that there was an Australian species of miner.
Okay.
Don't know. Saw the black widow on the clothesline. I turned as white as a sheet. Thank you.
Of course. Phantom again.
There was another one I wanted to... Oh, The Project. We were talking about how different our news is, particularly on the TV, or could possibly be. But The Project, according to the great doctor, says it's doing that comedy take, if you like, on The Project, and they've been doing that for a long time. And if you look at The Daily Show in the United States, which is fab.
Is that Jon Stewart?
Yeah, Jon
Right.
Stewart. Well, Jon Stewart's come back into the chair, I think, once a week on The Daily Show. It's
Okay.
great. Launching his career of Stephen Colbert. I think Colbert worked very closely with Stewart in another program as well, Dr. John. But if you look at that idea of still talking about news, and I think the ABC run various programs along that line as well. But the idea of doing a broadcast of reading the news, telling the news, but then in just a more casual approach.
Yes.
Would that work today? I don't know.
Well, the project's been around for quite some time, and there have been others. I think sometimes these programs are just they're correct. They're right for their time, but not necessarily indefinitely. But I don't know. I think there's so much that's just so serious and so depressing. I think if there can be a bit of a take on it that just might lighten it up a little bit or humanise it a little bit more, maybe there is something. But you've really got to find the right person or people to do it, because if you get the wrong people, it'll be an absolute disaster.
Di, good morning to you in Anglevale.
Good morning. Good morning, Nathan. Good morning, Tony.
Hello, Di.
Nathan, I'm going back on the memory bank, and I don't know how long you've been flying.
I started
how long
learning
have you been flying?
I started learning in 1985, and sort of was just doing it for a hobby. And then I decided in about 1989 to see where I could go with it, and then had various jobs and things through the journey, and been with Qantas since 2000.
When we migrated, and I mean, obviously, my voice doesn't give it away.
No.
On my phone.
No, you came over from France.
Germany.
UK.
Germany, yeah,
The
that's
UK.
right.
It's such a lovely accent.
Isn't it?
We arrived on Christmas Day.
Oh.
Yeah, 1989.
Okay.
And we got out of the plane at Adelaide Airport. And as you walked out the door, like we were dressed, because we left England in
Oh, we've
winter.
been freezing.
Yeah. And when we got to Adelaide,
Yeah.
we got out of the plane.
Oh, would have been.
And you
Where
have
have we
got
come?
no idea.
We've gone to hell. It's hot.
Yeah, a
Yes.
bit like as we are suffering at the moment. But back in the day, there were no tunnels.
Yes.
You had to get off the plane.
Yes, straight
and
out
walk
onto the
up
tarmac.
to the airport. Yeah, walk across the tarmac and then get into the airport.
Yes, I remember
And I'll
it
tell
well
you-
in Adelaide. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! And then, stupid me. Well, no, but I had to go back for family reasons in '96.
Mm-hmm.
And the takeoff, you go over Glenelg,
Yes. That's
and I
on.
was ready to play sandcastles with the kids on the beach.
Yeah. Yes. That was certainly that's the main direction that we take off, because the wind generally in Adelaide is sort of a south or a southwesterly. And so, yeah, you go over sort of Glenelg North. If you're on the left-hand side, you can look out towards Glenelg. So, yeah, that's definitely the direction we take. And we go out over the water, and then we turn back around. If we're going to Perth or elsewhere, then we turn right. If we're going to any of the East Coast states, then we turn left and then come back across the coast, and off we go. But I remember the airport very well. It was all just no aero bridges, no nothing. And when they built that new terminal, it was wowee. This is pretty
Massive.
impressive.
I mean, since it's like turned around and it's fabulous, but back in the day, it wasn't that fabulous, and it was Christmas Day. And, the aircraft, like Qantas, were fabulous.
Yes.
But it was just, the mere fact of walking out the plane
Yes.
and across the tarmac, and you thought, we thought, oh, my Lord, what have we come to?
Lordy.
And not only the heat, of course, on the opposite side, if it was, bucketing with rain or something, then you'd be across the tarmac and you'd be pretty drenched by the time you got onto the aeroplane. So aero bridges in Adelaide are definitely an improvement.
A joy.
We still go to some places where there are no aero bridges, places like Hobart, Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, Alice Springs.
Far North Queensland?
No, Townsville and Cairns we have. Mackay there are. So, just some of the other places. Launceston there aren't. So, lots of places that we go that don't have aero bridges. So you just got to make do with the elements.
Good on you, Di. Merry Christmas to you.
Yes.
A really interesting one here. Through winter, Nathan, we had quite an increase in the amount of bats hanging around locally in the town of Walkerville in South Australia.
Oh, yes.
I believe they came from the bot gardens over there, the Adelaide Parklands area. The
Okay.
bats.
I think, they follow the food, and obviously certain times of the year, through the spring, generally there's going to be more fruit and whatever around. The flying foxes are omnivorous, but they largely eat fruit and little bugs and things. So certain times of the year they'll go where the food is more plentiful, and then other times they'll move to other places.
All right, more of your calls the other side of this. It is Australia Overnight. I'm Tony Mack. Nathan Koch is here. It's Pets and Jets, Jets and Pets. Your calls straight after this. Lots of your texts we'll get to in just a moment. One in particular says, David, hello, good morning to you. Nathan, Tony, I'm ready for my luggage to go missing. Oh, surely that won't happen. I know that some airlines don't like using a certain Apple product in the luggage. True or false?
Oh, look, it's within your rights to do it, and maybe sometimes, and I'm just talking very generally here, that maybe your device might be a little more accurate than the scanning that's happened to your bag. But it's well within your rights if you have and we're talking about Apple tags, of course. If you have one in your bag and, you can keep an eye on where it's going, then go for it.
Why would you not? Jimmy in West Woods Road. Morning, Jim.
Good morning, Tony, Nathan and Joe. Nice to speak to you all again.
Likewise. How are you, Jim?
Not too bad at the moment, but I don't like heat waves, especially since I don't have air conditioning.
Oh, you need to go and camp in the local Footscray market or something where they've got air conditioning, or go to the movies or do something like that.
I know, but that's no good to me when I come home, because in the afternoon, in the evening is when my place gets the worst.
Yeah, of course.
Humidity, like a magnet. But anyway.
Have you got a friend nearby that's air-conned?
Yeah, I've got my next door neighbour.
Oh, well, there you go. Take a half a dozen stubbies or something, and then go next door and just invite yourself around until the cool change comes through.
Anyway, I heard Tony and yourself talking about bats.
Yes.
I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but there's been many bats around West Footscray for many years. As soon as it gets dark, you see them flying everywhere,
yes.
But you never see them flying together for some reason. They fly high and they fly as low as just above the power lines.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere I walk, every 10 minutes I see one if I go out at night. And they're very large. They'll be fruit bats, wouldn't they, Nathan?
Yes, they're flying foxes, which are actually a fruit bat, yeah.
Yeah, because one time I got a little porch out the front, and I got a little couch. I was sitting there once, and one was just heading towards me, and what I heard you say before, it was coming straight at me. I thought it was coming to attack. I don't know, something must have went wrong with its radar, but it just flew up and went straight up.
Yes.
I thought it was after me to get me, but
no.
Like I said, do you think something must have went wrong with its radar sensors?
Oh, I don't think so. I think that's just what they do sometimes. They come in different directions and they can spin off or peel off very, very quickly. They're not normally aggressive, and the only time, and this is actually, I guess, a timely timely time. That sounds terrible, but a good time to mention it. If you happen to see an injured one or something or a sick one on the ground, do not go near it.
Don't touch
it because they do carry a virus that's kind of related to rabies, and then they can be aggressive and bite you, and then it's not good. So just call the wires people or the wildlife people, and they're well trained in how to deal with these bats without getting themselves bitten or getting yourself bitten. So many a person has tried to do the right thing and just try and help them. But no, be careful. Just keep away, keep other people away, and call the appropriate authorities, because when they're ill like that, they can actually be quite a danger to us. So you just need to be very careful.
There you go. Thanks, Jim. There's the message. Don't, whatever you do, touch the bat, man. Let's go to...
you'd be robbing yourself of a great experience.
Right. Let's go to... We could do that all morning. Let's go to John at Mount Waverley. Hello.
Yeah, hi, Nathan and Tony.
What?
I got this dog, and he knocked off a piece of me watermelon tonight. Is watermelon bad for them?
No, that'll be all right. He'll be okay.
That's all right?
Even the seeds? Pips?
Hey?
Even pips?
Or a seedless one?
Yeah. No. So I bought it from a shop, and I just slicing it up, and then I left a slice on the bench, and I put the rest in the fridge, and I turn around, and the slice is gone.
Gone.
That's it.
And he's out the back chewing on it.
Yeah, no, watermelon's fine.
He knocked off an avocado once, and I've heard that's not good for them.
Yeah, just got to be careful with all that sort of stuff. My apologies. Yes, you just got to... Apparently you got to turn these microphones on.
Yes, you do.
When did that happen, Tony?
Thank you.
Is a new thing.
Excellent.
I didn't get the memo from last week.
Thanks.
I'm always the last to find out all this sort of stuff. I thought it was on. Anyway,
no, all good, John. And the old thing is, when you're talking about old dogs and children and watermelon wine.
No, he's not an old dog. I only just adopted him from the RSPCA.
Yes. So they say, just give it in moderation. Of course, everything in moderation, but it's got, it's as the name implies, of course, it's full of water, as a watermelon. It's got some vitamins and minerals and things, and it's got some fibre. But if it's a little bit, then it's not a problem.
What about all the seeds? No dramas with the pips.
Best to keep away from the seeds if you possibly can. But most of the watermelons we have these days are the seedless type.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are they?
I would have thought.
I just assumed it was always seed.
No, there's the seedless watermelons. They're much, much better. They don't have all the big black seeds that we used to spit out all over the place.
Oh, that was part of the fun, though.
I know.
It was. We love to spit. Craig, thank you, Johnny. Craig's on the road. Where are you heading to, Craig? Good morning.
G'day, fellas. A bit different tonight, Tony. I'm off to Brisbane because I've been I'm allowed to drive in Adelaide for 4 months, so I've been relegated to the other road.
Oh, gee. What have you done, Craig?
Oh, I can't say too much,
No,
fellas.
but you can. Okay.
But I'm just grateful for the work. Hey, listen, fellas, I just wanted to, won't get here next week. I just wanted to say, really love listening to you blokes once a week. It's terrific.
Thank you.
Nathan is a man of many talents, Nathan. You've got a very wicked sense of humour.
I was always pure as the driven snow until I met Tony.
Yeah,
He's corrupted me.
Yes.
No, I remember you talking long before Tony and to Tony Moakley.
That's the one.
Oh, well, he was the one. I'll blame him then.
Blame that Tony, old Tony.
It's Tony's. There's something about Tony's, but
Tony's hidden bodies.
Well, that's we try and have fun. Isn't that what it's about? There's plenty of time for serious and doom and gloom. So we just try and keep it light and lively in the middle of the night and just have a bit of fun and keep each other a bit of company. And that's what it's all about as far as we're concerned. So thank you.
Well, hopefully they'll keep it going next year, fellas, because it really is great. You bounce off each other really well. And I've said to you before, mate, you're just such a... You seem like this such a decent guy, and you do all these amazing things.
Oh, Tony, he is absolutely, definitely. He's awesome.
That's who I was talking to, Nate.
Yeah, I know. I'm just going to step out for a moment.
Come on, this is becoming a bit of a fest now. Settle down, you two blokes. Listen, tell us about what's the traffic like this time of the year, or this time of the morning for you, Craig?
Well, Well, this is why I drive it. No, Tony, because all the wombats are back in their burrows, and I'm out here on my own. As soon as I'm like Dracula, mate. As soon as the sun comes up, I get off the road. I can't stand it. So but at the moment it's just there's a lot of grain trucks out here, but you tourists just come out during the day. So at the moment it's quiet, just the way I like it, Tony, uneventful. But listen, I just wanted to wish you fellas a lovely Christmas.
Thank you, Craig.
Thanks for looking after us, the way you do. And like I said, really, Nathan, you are a great asset to that show and that bloody company. And I really hope I really hope you're kind of always part of it. It's just terrific listening to you guys, and it's really just great company. And that's it, my friends. So
Thank
have
you.
a wonderful Christmas.
Do I send the cheque to the usual address, Craig?
That's right. There you go. It's your brother Craig, is it?
Yes,
Second
absolutely.
brother Craig. Good on you, Craig. Stay safe out there.
And a good Christmas to you, and keep safe on the road, because there's lots of morons out there, so just be careful.
Yes, the morons. Watching for the morons. Ken in Adelaide, it is. Which Ken are you? You're not one of the great Kens from 5AA, are you?
No. I'm just the normal
bloke.
Ken. Just a working man, and listening to your calls. I can't get on the radio station in Adelaide because I must have, they don't like that I'm a Trump supporter and I speak my mind, and I can't get on there. So
you'll get on really well with us then.
Well, I got on Saturday night there with Davey Bruce and that, but the other one's Biner and that other one, that Leafy Forest or whatever it's called. I mean, they're just, they say they're not biased or anything like that, but they don't let you on the radio station and speak your own mind, so they're a joke anyway.
Well, I think Leon's retired, hasn't he? Leon's retired 12 months or more now.
No, not Leon. I'm talking about the other guy.
Okay.
Lee. Anyway, he's not even worth mentioning.
He's a good mate of mine.
No, well, as I said, Tony, like you're a bloke. I mean, they even tried to ring up here some of the people when you said to them, listen, this bloke can say what he wants to say. You've had to tell them a couple of times, mate, but they don't ring anymore because they know, right?
Okay.
So they understand, mate. But what I say is there's a couple of points. The one that I've often wondered, how they're going on about the Syria thing now.
Yes.
Right? And well, that's really good, right? If it is going to be like this, I agree 100%. But
well, let's hope so.
I want to know why all the news channels and all the radio, ABC and all this, they're all over there. They're all in there, right? They've been in there for years, but they've never told us that they've had a big drug problem over there, have they? You notice that? I mean, the Syria apparently he's funded the economy for the last 30 years on selling that drug, and that drug's been going around the world. But there'd be no big busts of them, what I mean?
Which drug is it, Ken? Is it like opium? Do they grow it over there? Is that what you're after?
No, it's not meth. It's meth, right? But they've got some name for it, right? Yeah, I know. And apparently they're all addicted to it. I mean, and it even goes through. It's into Jordan. It's going into Europe now. That's why they're all jumping up and down, because it's getting into Europe now, because it's just what it is now, right? And but what amazes me is they're going on about the Chinese, and he's got then an American. Trump said, "Listen, stop sending the fentanyl over here and all this." And we even said it in Australia here, didn't we? Stop sending the fentanyl over.
Fentanyl.
Fentanyl over here from China getting made there. But you've heard nothing about this meth getting all spread all around the world, from Syria and the Middle East. They're all on it there.
Well, a lot of places like Afghanistan were big opium growers, because
massive.
The farmers, that was a cash crop for them, that they could make a lot of money. And that's one of the things. It's all very well to burn the crops, but these people need to make a living, and they don't use it, so they don't care. They get their money. So I think, we need to give them an alternative and some other crops that they can grow that aren't drugs, and then hopefully that'll help to get rid of the trade. But of course, it's a supply and demand. If there's no demand for it, then it doesn't matter how much you produce. But sadly, there's a lot of people that become addicted to these things, and hence there's always the demand.
Hey, Kenny, you reckon your man Trump's going to do a really good job for 4 years?
Well, I will tell you what, we need him badly, because Australia, we're going down the gurgler fast. I mean, like, all of us workers are out here working our guts out, right? And I've just got I've just got them just lying about the streets here. They don't work. I mean, no wonder we're going to have deficits. He doesn't say this, but it's because we're paying all these people, right, that they don't work. They don't even produce. All they're doing is paying a GST. That's all they're doing, right? But we're giving them the money so they can pay a GST. You know, so I don't understand that. But you know this business about the radioactive waste that they're going on about now.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lady. She's a physicist, and she knows the nuclear thing backwards. She can walk into a power plant and take it apart and build it, right? And she's been saying for years, and even Musk has come out and said, listen, he said, they're just telling you stories about the nuclear waste. He said, he said it's not as bad as any one of them are saying. And another thing, what I'd like to know is, you know, when you come through the airport,
yes,
right? You get they have to gamma ray things and
no, it's
radiation.
It's not gamma ray. It's just the metal detectors and other things. No, they don't irradiate us with gamma rays. Certainly, gamma rays are used for sterilisation of things like rubber gloves and stuff, which don't damage things, and they're used for a lot of medical equipment. But no, the scanners are not. It's not gamma radiation at all. No, it's
Kenny,
a different form.
Yeah, very importanly to note that.
Yeah,
Kenny,
they're safe. They're safe for us.
Come back any time, Kenny. We've got to do
Yes.
this break, and when we come back, more of your calls, 133693. G'day, Tony and Nathan. Salty, the aircraft refueler. Good morning. I'm wondering what works that can be tolerated in most dogs. Talking about Curcupet. I have two small elderly dogs. P.S. And I haven't had the pleasure of meeting Nathan at the Melbourne airport.
I'm sure you have, Salty, and I've probably met you, and we haven't known. We've been ships that pass in the night or pass under the wing or whatever it is.
So give a secret thumbs up. You should have a secret connection.
Yes, we do. A thumbs up. So, you don't know what you look like, Salty. You'll have to give me some clues.
Please do.
But anyway, you've asked about curcupet. Look, curcumin, and that's something that you hear Gerald Quigley talk about often on Australia Overnight, of course.
He'll be here tonight, tomorrow morning.
Yes. And Ross Walker, of course, who does the health program. So I'm one of a believer in all these things. I mean, it's not going to hurt, so it's worth a try. And I think sometimes these things you just need to experiment and just say, well, we'll give it a shot for however long they suggest that you do that. If it makes a difference, fantastic, keep going. If it doesn't, then let it go.
Let's go. Can we go to Craig? So Craig's in China, I understand. Craig, you're in China as we speak. You're a Geelong boy. Good morning.
Ni hao ma, Craig.
Good morning. Ni hao. How's it going?
Yeah. Wa hun hao shi shi.
Yeah, good. Not too bad. I have no idea what you said, but you know.
No, you just asked how am I, and I said I'm fine, thanks.
All right, no problem.
That's it. That's the extent of my Mandarin.
No, it's very good. What are you doing there, and for how long, Craig?
I'm just teaching over here for been here for 4 weeks. Got another week to go.
Okay. What are you teaching? English or something specific?
No, diploma of business.
Oh, cool. Through which uni?
Victoria University.
Ah, very good.
Yeah, it's just best teaching you'll ever do.
Yes. Whereabouts in China are you? If you can say. I mean, if it's top secret, then don't tell us.
No, no, it's not like that. We're in Shenyang, which is in the Liaoning province, northeast of Beijing. So it's pretty cold at the moment. But,
okay.
Yeah.
Would be. So tell me, so what do they call Chinese food over there?
Food.
Nice.
Yeah, good.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah. Look, the Chinese food we get in Australia is more
Cantonese, isn't it?
Down south.
Yes.
But up the north, it's not totally different. There's some stuff you probably wouldn't try.
Yes,
and whatever. But no, most of the stuff's just really nice. Yeah, it's good. So it's just, as I said, the teaching here is sensational. The kids are unbelievable. They're like sponges.
Yes.
It's just awesome. So,
Craig, from where does that originate? Is that because their parents are focused on the level of education available to them?
Yeah, I think there's surprisingly there's a big focus on Western qualifications, and it is very competitive. And I'll tell you what the students, because all the students, it's a bit like the United States, so all the students live on campus.
Yeah.
So they're immersed in the experience.
Yeah, Craig, I tell you what, we'd love to yak to you. We've got to do this break and the news is not far away. Stay there, we might come back the other side. The Phantom, who keeps texting, and we love his little lines. He says, I've picked up plenty of bats. Oh, no, I better not read that one.
No.
I better not read that one. I should pre-read them. Sorry, Phantom.
Now, this is Australia Overnight with Tony McManus.
Oh, look at Jay out there rocking it up. Huh? What's going on with you this morning, Jay? Huh?
Pulling out all the oldies.
I know, just dragging out some of the oldies but the goodies. Well done. Just prior to news, we were talking to Craig. Craig's in China. For how long, Craig? Did you say about another 3 or 4 weeks?
No, I've got 1 more week. I've been here for 4.
Oh, I beg your pardon. And so is this the first time doing this work in China?
No, I've done it a few times. It's been awesome. I love it.
That's fantastic. I mean, how satisfying is it too? I mean, you go there and you teach people things that they didn't know a month before. Because I did some flying instructing, and it's very satisfying.
Yeah, it is. And as I think I said before, the students are just like sponges. They're so inquisitive, and it's funny, like the way they work together. Like you'll get at the end of class, you'll get a couple of students come up and ask questions, but behind them there'll be 7 or 8 students, so they're asking questions on behalf of the other students as well.
Mm.
So they all work together, and it's just it really is. It's so rewarding. I mean, there was one student a few years back, just pre-COVID, and she was worried about that she was going to pass the subject. I said, "You're kidding. You're one of the best students in the class. What do you mean?" And she was from a small village outside of the main city, and the village had sponsored her to the degree.
Mm.
The first year degree.
Yes.
But in order for her to continue, she had to get a scholarship.
Oh, I see.
Right?
Yep.
So I said, "So what do you need to get the scholarship?" She said, "An average of 90."
Whoa.
So that's her pass mark.
Good grief.
And here's this 19-year-old kid with the responsibility of the village on her shoulders.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? You get little situations like that, and she did. She got through.
Fantastic.
And she got the scholarship. So, little things like that. It just keeps me wanting to come back, because you get stories like that all the time.
And that young woman at 19 presumably is her English for you to be able to communicate with her. She's trying English, and you're trying a little bit of hopefully some Chinese dialect.
Yeah, but in order to do the qualification, they've got to have a level of English to be able to do it. So it's a level 5 in the IELTS English scale to do the diploma. And the diploma is the first year of the degree. Then they've got to improve that to level 6 to continue on in the degree, the second and third year of the degree. So they're all very excellent at English speaking, and we're sort of encouraged to keep conversing in English so that they get that experience.
Yeah.
And we find in class, like, that we'll probably have 100 or so students in class, and there'll be students from all other courses just sitting in to get to experience or listen to the English. So, it's good fun. I love it. It's good.
That's awesome. And we've just been, we've got a few of our eagle-eared and eyed listeners are saying that they've just checked the temperature in Harbin and it's minus 22. Is that right?
In Harbin.
Beijing is 1 degree.
Yeah, so at the moment, I think here in Harbin's a bit further north, heading more towards Russia. But it's, we went to Harbin this time last year and we got to minus 30.
Oh.
Which was interesting, and it had a bit of a breeze. So that made it even worse.
Wind chill would be even worse. Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is, you dress for it.
Yes.
Yeah, of course you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's only when if you need to be outside. So if you're walking to the shops, you get to the shopping centre, it's like 23 degrees in there.
You got to take all the gear off.
Take it all off, and like in Canada too, isn't it? Like that.
Yeah, I'd imagine. So yeah, but so it's only So as long as you've got cover any exposed skin, you're fine. Which means that your eyes and top of your face is generally copping it a bit.
Yes.
But other than that, yes, it's certainly doable. It's good fun.
Craig, just a final question. When you're talking to those students at 17, 18 and 19, how aware are they of Australia?
Oh, yeah. It's funny. One of the topics we do is we talk about perceptions of different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask them about a perception of Australia. And there's only two words that come out, and that's kangaroo and koala.
Well, that sums it up pretty much, doesn't it?
Yeah, pretty well. So the perception of Australia is, the sun, beaches, and it's what they see.
Yes.
In brochures or magazines or shows or whatever, that's their perception of what Australia is. Yeah.
What a great! It's great to talk to you, Craig. And you're back for the silly season over Christmas and New Year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Christmas and New Year. So when I arrive back, I got to go straight to a Christmas party. So that'll be fun.
Excellent
good for
work.
you.
Enjoy.
I'll be the uncle in the corner sleeping.
Yeah, after the jet lag. That's
will.
right.
Great to talk. Thanks for joining the program. Are you listening on the 3AW app or online?
Yeah, on the 3AW app online. Yeah, I just want to say it's been a great show. I mean, the not random, but you've got the topics of the vets and jets. I mean, you couldn't get two more topics diametrically apart, but it's just been fun. I love it.
We'll tell all your
done,
students
It's
to
been
listen
great.
to us, and they can get a much better idea of Australian culture.
Yeah, I'll do that. I've tried that. I had the cricket last week up on the I was streaming the cricket.
Oh, how did that
on the laptop,
go?
I'm trying to explain.
Oh, good luck.
Yeah, I think the economics class was a lot easier for them.
Yeah, wait till you go back in winter and explain Australian rules football. That'd be better.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Or our winter. I mean, it's winter over there.
Stephen Smith, first century in 23 tests, 101.
Yes.
That was awesome. That was brilliant.
It was
great. Yeah, good to talk to you, Craig. Thank you. Stay safe. We'll talk soon in Adelaide. Hello, Joy. Thank you for waiting.
Thank you. Now, I have a very small apricot tree which is laden in apricots.
Oh, yes. Beautiful.
And I have cured the possums and the bats.
And
I have put
dare we
Christmas
ask?
Christmas tinsel and Christmas flashing lights all over the apricot tree, and they have not been near it.
Oh, that's clever. So not only do you decorate your tree, but you also have your apricots and get rid of the bats and the possums.
Well, I was laden last year and I lost so many.
Ah.
And I scratched my head to what the thing to do. And my daughter and I got the coloured lights out that are flashing on and off and battery operated and popped them around it and on it. And then the Christmas tinsel all around and inside it. And I have not lost one apricot.
Now, that's lateral thinking. I like that. That's very clever.
Well, thank you. I just thought it was a good way of curing all the and without hurting anything.
Yeah, that's right. It's perfectly environmentally safe, and you're not causing any harm to anything, and you're not using chemicals or the like. So that's great.
The
Well
kids
thought.
in the back, out the back, and on the side think it's great fun because they can come out and see the lights at night.
Yes.
Gorgeous. Joy, how are you spending Christmas? What are you doing for Christmas Day?
Christmas Day, only my daughter and I are home this year. My granddaughter's flying to Darwin to be with her brother. And I'm having Christmas Day on Boxing Day with my other grandson and his children.
Oh, lovely. Enjoy
Last year I was in Darwin.
Oh, gee, get around.
Yes.
I lived there for 30 years.
Oh, gosh.
And I'd go back tomorrow.
Would you, as opposed to the beautiful city of Adelaide?
Yes, thank you. I was born in Melbourne.
Uh-huh.
Born in Surrey Hills in Melbourne.
Yes.
And I went to Darwin for 30 years.
So even this time of the year, Darwin's pretty hot and horrible and humid.
Hesitation. No, without a hesitation. I love it.
So, Joy, you'd be a great story to tell about those very early days post the dreadful Christmas
cyclone.
You survived all of that.
I didn't know. I didn't get back. I was in Melbourne for the cyclone.
Okay.
I didn't get back for 3 months.
Yes, but you would have been there for the rebuild and all that activity.
Oh, yes, I was there for the rebuild. Yes, we lived in caravans and all sorts of things, yes. But, one of those things, you get over it.
Yeah, just the great pioneering spirit, isn't it? That just people
It is.
get on with it and move on and rebuild and make it bigger and better and stronger, and away you go
Good
again.
on you, Joy. I love that. You
Yes.
just get on with it. That is so quintessentially Australian.
Yes.
You just get on with it.
Yes. I love it.
Full stop. Well done, Joy. Barry will come to you next. Nathan, Danny's waiting as well. It is Australia Overnight. I'm Tony Mack. Nathan Koch is here. Qantas pilot extraordinaire. Captain, if you don't mind. And always a vet as well. 133693. We'll do this. Your calls, the other side. Rob makes a really good point for you, Nathan Koch.
Yes,
Tony
yes.
Mack and Nathan. Dogs should not consume chocolate.
Yep.
Remind each and everyone we need to keep away from them. Yes, it is important. And why is that? What's the basis behind that?
There's chemicals in chocolate, particularly in cooking chocolate, because it's very concentrated. Not so much in milk chocolate, and even less in white chocolate.
So no white and or lint balls. For,
No, not for your dog.
for Puppy Jack.
Theobromine, which is the main or a main ingredient, one of the chemicals, is toxic to dogs. So and it's got the caffeine as well, which can wind them up, and they're not used to it. So there's lots of things that seem innocuous to us, but are no good for your pets. Chocolate being one, of course. Grapes are another. Certain types of nuts are no good. There's xylitol, which is an artificial sweetener. Alcohol, of course, is no good. Onions and garlic, avocado, things with caffeine. Too much salt, chives. And they talk about dairy products and yeast dough and medication. Antifreeze, well, obviously antifreeze is no good. And be careful with things like Christmas lilies, because they can be toxic as cats if they get the pollen, off the stamens there, and then they lick it off. That can be an issue for them. So there's a whole heap of stuff. You just need to be a bit careful
with our beloved pets
Yes.
at home. 14 here in Israel. This is from David, a great friend who has been a contributor and friend of this program for a long time. Listening to you guys helps me warm up. Once I was in New York at minus who knows what outside. Well, yeah, been there when those it just freezes over in New York City. My wife preferred to be outside in the snow with a coat rather than this very stuffy heat inside from a hotel room or whatever.
Yes, because they really wind up the
Yeah, they
heat
do.
there, and
Yeah.
just you get the extremes from so cold outside. And as you say, you just got to peel off all the layers when you go inside because it's very hot.
G'day, Nathan. I've done a flight Brisbane through to Port Hedland in WA. One perhaps the longest flights in Australia. Have you done
Yes.
that route?
I have, and we do. In the winter, Brisbane to Perth is also extremely long because you have the winter jet stream, which is the airflow that
5
we
hours?
push into a massive headwind. It can be well over 5 hours.
Over 5.
Even. It just seems to go on and on. But we forget sometimes about the distances in this country, and it's quite extraordinary to fly 5.5 hours, and you're still over Australia. It's huge.
I know. We forget, don't we, sometimes?
We do.
Yeah. In SA, Barry, hello.
Yeah, good morning, chaps. Another vote for me for Pets and Jets. Great segment. Really enjoy it. Thanks very much.
Thanks,
Baz. I've got 2 dachshunds, 8 and 9 years old. They are very unsociable dogs. They bark at everything. They'll bark at a big German Shepherd and want to attack it and all that sort of stuff. And very, very unsociable dogs. The son's coming over for Christmas. He's bringing his dog over. I just wonder.
Okay.
This is another dachshund too, so a bit of a dashhound family. But,
Have they met each other in the past? These dogs?
No, it'd be a first time.
Okay. I think. Look, it's going to be difficult, and because they're thrown into your dog's, or the other dog is thrown into your dog's territory, it might be a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
What I might, what you might like to try is introduce them on neutral territory, like out in the park or somewhere else, because if you bring the other dog into your place, your dogs are going to be very protective of their own territory, whereas somewhere neutral that's not theirs might be a little bit easier. I would also get some Adaptil spray or an Adaptil collar. It's a pheromone that just can help to settle them down just a little bit. And you might even try some stuff called Zilkine. I do mention it from time to time. It's a milk protein, so it's not actually a drug, and you can pick it up from pet shops and things.
Zilkine?
Zylkene. K-E-N-E. N for November, E for Echo. Yep.
Yeah.
And that you can pick up from pet shop. Just use a big dog dose. Don't worry about a little dog dose because it's just milk powder. Comes in a capsule. Yeah. All you do, it's a milk powder. You just tip it on some wet food, and it's pretty tasty. So they quite like it. That might help to just take the edge off a little bit. If you find when they meet up that they really just can't tolerate each other, you might need to head round to the vet and get some, short-acting behaviour medication, and there's a few things that they could try. But see how you go. Look, you might just need to do that for the time. It's not going to bomb them out, but it's just going to take the edge off them if they really don't. What
was the other one, please, Nathan?
Adaptil. And it comes as a spray. You spray it on a bandana and put it around them, or there are collars as well. You can spray it in their bedding. Also, you don't spray it directly onto the dog. And it's a pheromone, so it's just one of those things that just helps to make them feel a little bit better. And they're non-prescription things, so they're things that you can buy easily from a pet shop. And then there are some, foods out there that are supposedly help. There's some calming foods, so have a look around. I think Royal Canin make one, and some of the others. You might like to give them a try. Are they going to sort of change a whole lot of stuff? I don't think so, but it just might be enough to take the edge off them so that they can tolerate each other. The other thing I would definitely do is not leave them on their own with the other dog, because the two of them might gang up on him and that could end up in tears. So really make sure that they are always supervised, because you just don't know what your dogs might do.
He wants to eventually go to the UK to live
and leave the dog with you.
With me. We have to get them friends,
loving each other.
Yes,
that's it.
So it may or may not happen. But all you can do is try. And as I say, sometimes, if we do use the behaviour modification medications, it's not necessarily something that you're going to have to do forever, but it's just something that, certainly for a few months just to sort of help with the settling in process, and maybe they might just end up forming a bond that, then you can wean them off those medications and hopefully they'll be okay with each other.
Look after yourself, Baz. Keep in touch. Merry Christmas.
Let us know how you get on. And as I say, most important thing, don't just leave them unsupervised because anything could happen.
Who's instantly the most famous bandana wearer that jumps to mind?
Australian?
Yeah, or it could be anywhere.
I guess I'm thinking Peter Fitzsimons.
Yeah, Fitzy would be one, bandana wearer. Overseas? Great band member of Bruce Springsteen's band.
No, don't know. Don't know his band members.
Somebody will tell us. 133 693 133 693. Great bandana wearers. Where are we going? We'll go to Nathan. Hello.
Hi, Nathan and Tony. How are you?
Nathan, how are you doing?
There's two questions I want to ask you. How you know if when you go off in the plane and if there's another plane in front of you, how do you know that? How you know that?
There's a number of things. Once we're up high, everywhere pretty much in Australia is covered by radar. And they'll all have what we call a transponder, so that sends a signal back to the ground, so it'll tell us where we are. And, we even have apps that you can use too, like Flight Radar 24. That'll tell you where you are with, or a Flight Tracker. That'll tell you where you are with respect to other aircraft. We don't use that, but sometimes if we want to see who's around, we might have a look at that. But certainly air traffic control keep us apart. And if by some chance there's a mistake made and they don't keep us apart, all of the airliners have a thing called a TCAS, a traffic collision and avoidance system, and what that does is they're radars that talk to each other. So if we're on a collision course with another aircraft, these two boxes talk to each other, and then what'll happen is if it's too close, one aircraft will get a command to climb. There's a voice, an American voice, that tells us very loudly, climb, climb. And the other aircraft will get the same at the same time, their American voice saying, descend, descend. And that's what keeps us away. And then on our instruments, it'll tell us how much we need to climb, and then once we're clear of the other aircraft. So it's certainly not just left to chance. Nowadays, with a thing called ADSB, we certainly do have radar pretty much all around the country once we're up at higher levels.
Hope that all helps.
There's another And there's another question. How do you know if the dog is say you got a dog?
Yeah.
How do they know they know if there's a noise? If there's nothing, how do they know sense something is something there? Or
well, they have hearing that's far more sensitive than ours. And so they hear noises the way that we do, and they will react that we do if there's a loud noise or a bang or a something or other else. Then they sort of pick that up as well, and then they assess, as we would assess, whether something is a threat or not a threat. So, yeah, basically the same way that we do, and we are... We do it based on our experience. You know, certain noises might have connotations of something unpleasant, and so we'll sort of react to that accordingly, and they're the same.
Well done. Thank you for your call, as per always, Nath. Always good to hear your voice.
Yes.
Axl Rose, bandana wearer.
Okay.
Guns N' Roses.
Now, the other more random one I'm thinking of, there's a counting cars. Have you seen that? A guy in the States, they do these really tricked up hot rods and things. Danny someone or other, and he also wears bandanas all the time.
There you go. Put that on the list. Hulk Hogan.
Oh, yes.
Another bandana wearer. And I'm sure there was a member of Springsteen's E Street that was a bandana wearer. And you've probably got to say that the Great Willie, by definition, is
Willie
a bandana
Nelson,
wearer.
definitely. Yes.
Always a bandana, I think.
133
your calls the other side. Morning. Surely you'd have to say Keith. Keith would be, Keith Richards from the Stones would be a pretty famous bandana wearer.
Yes.
And we're just looking at some of these other nominations that people sent through from time to time. What's his name, Jay? So Depp has often been seen Johnny Depp's often been seen wearing a bandana. Eminem, there's a household name. Eminem, the chocolate, you mean? Well, is a bandana wearer. So it's a thing, really. I'm thinking about trying it on next year.
Yes, Springsteen sort of headbands, wasn't he? Sort of
Springsteen, that early Springsteen was headband,
a real bandana.
Is that a bandana or not a bandana?
I don't know. That is the question.
And next week we're playing the new game in the early new year, hairpiece or not a hairpiece.
Ooh.
133 693. Danny, hi. Yes, Dan.
Oh, g'day, Tony Mac and Nathan. How are you?
We're well, thank you.
Yes, Danny.
That's the way.
How's Port Augusta? That's nice and cool there now, not?
No, it's hotter than two Lazos wrapped in plastic. But we have fruit bats here, mate. So actually, I have seen fruit bats quite a lot. A big colony flying around Port Augusta.
Right.
Interesting enough, Port Pirie doesn't have any.
Oh, really?
Which is only 70 k's away. Yeah, but I'm not sure as to why that is. Maybe there's not so many fruit trees around.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's probably it. Be food sources, I would think.
Yeah, definitely. But that's not the reason why I called.
Oh, but that's
not
okay.
why I called. Yes,
just a moment.
There it is.
The reason why I called, mate, is I've had a turtle which is it was actually sold to me. I bought it from a person who couldn't keep it anymore, and they believed it was an eastern long-neck turtle.
Yeah.
But it might be a southern long-neck turtle. So in the 4 years I've had him, he's gone from a 15-centimetre plate to I reckon he's about 45 centimetres now.
Gosh, big. Yes.
What's the shell? Is it like keratin or,
Yes.
or same as like a hoof type thing?
Yes, it's like a hoof. It's like a fingernail, like hair. Yes.
Yeah. So they shed their plates each year when they're obviously growing, and my question is, how long roughly do you reckon they live for?
Oh, they can live a long time. I mean, the Galapagos tortoises and things can live well over 100 years.
Yeah, 100
and,
years.
And the
yeah.
the tortoises or the turtles can certainly, given the right conditions, can live for many, many years. So, yes, it's.
Well, I mean, I think my guy's pretty happy because the amount he's grown in the 4-year period.
Yes.
He's outgrown several enclosures type thing, and I basically feed him a combination of bloodworm, vegetable matter type thing, and those pellets. So he's probably thriving type thing. But yeah, no, health-wise, I think he's never had an issue. Touch wood, and
good.
But yeah, I just was sort of interested to see if you knew how long. I know tortoises can live for much longer than turtles, but I'm not sure about the turtle type thing. Is it maybe more than 50 years?
Obviously, if he's growing, it's not like one of the little, turtles or terrapins that we used to have, when we were kids. But yeah, if he's big,
he would have started out like that.
Yeah, wow. But if he's got that size shell, and he's grown that quickly, if he's growing that quickly, he's obviously pretty young, because once they reach a mature size, they stop growing. So I would say, he's certainly only a few years old. But then once he stops growing, I don't know. But I'd say you could have him for 10 or 20 years even, if not more.
Well, like I said, when I actually got him from the person who was selling him, I reckon he's probably quite a few years old already, because he was, like I said, the shell circumference was probably about 15 centimetres.
Yes, but now...
so it's fully stretched out, so if he stretched his neck out and his tail out, he's 45.
Okay, and the shell itself, how much has that grown, do you think?
Shell itself is probably about double the size, 30.
Okay, so the fact that it's growing means that it's young, because otherwise, like with all critters and us, once you reach a mature size, then that's it. But if he's growing, then he must be reasonably young still, I would have suspected. So I think you're going to have him, her, or it for quite some time to come.
He's a non-binary turtle.
Oh, good. Yes, he identifies as being a turtle.
It's funny. Good on you, Danny. Yes. That's very funny. Well done, you. Lots of people saying, reminding us that Steve Van Zandt, who was in The Sopranos as well, but certainly plays in Springsteen's E-Band.
Oh, okay.
Was a very famous bandana wearer.
There you go.
Another caller says, you did this bandana topic not that long ago. Thank you. Did we? I've forgotten.
I don't know. I didn't hear it.
No, and I forget what I did yesterday.
That's the nice thing about losing your marbles. It's
right.
Fresh topics every day.
That's it. It's like you meet a new friend.
New friends
Don't do
day.
the gag. We can't do that anymore.
No,
Doris,
no.
Doris in Diamond Creek. Hi.
Hi again.
Hello, Doris.
Hi, guys. I went to China about 5 years ago, and I was with my then cop husband, and we were there for 3 weeks, and you're not allowed to take photos of police simply for security.
Yes.
And if they get caught letting tourists take photos, they're in big trouble.
Yes.
Now, my husband's really, really, really strict and goes by the rules or whatever. The last day we were there, 3 weeks later, we were in Guangzhou down the bottom, and my hubby stayed in the room, and I went out and I thought, look, I'm going to take a photo. It's the last thing I do. No, listen. No. I went up to a policeman. I sort of, he didn't know. I sort of did the click, click, click thing. And he goes, oh, no. And then a little old lady, probably my age, but they look older, she was one of the street sweepers. She went up and told him off something shocking. I didn't know what she said because it was Chinese.
Yes.
Then he came up to me and he nodded and said, yes. So I took a photo, and then I pointed to the cart, and I took one of him near the car. And a tourist came up and said, you know what the lady said? And I know this even from teaching Chinese kids.
Yes.
they think we're as bad as our government. Let's show them that we're above our government.
Okay.
And even the kids all want to come out to Australia. Like there was a kid 9 years ago, I tutored him on the side. And to this day, 9 years later, I just saw him and his parents not long ago. He said there's no way he would. I mean, his parents go and come because they've got a business there.
Yeah.
But he said there's no way that his parents or he would want to go there, mainly because I tell you, the people are awesome.
Yes.
But the government, what we found out is they even have like people who are really short of $1. They get them to spy on people. And if they talk bad about anybody, they just disappear off the planet Earth.
Oh, really? That's really?
Yeah, no. This is
a different
trouble.
world.
Any sort of authoritarian governments, people's rights are one of the first things to disappear.
Arthur in West Footscray, morning.
Good morning.
It's Artie Karate.
Good morning, Tony Mac, Jay, and of course Nathan. All the best to your family.
Arthur.
Christmas.
Thank
Hello, all the best for the Christmas if you're going on holidays. Now, Nathan, I've been studying a few books on aviation, and I can't remember when was the first solar-powered light aircraft come out. It seemed like it was ancient.
Good
question.
And it flew around the world
Now,
safely.
there's a question. I know that they've been doing some trials with electric aircraft. There was the solar, the thing that went all around the world several times, wasn't there recently?
Yeah, but that was ages ago.
Bert
according to the
Rutan, I
book.
think, was flying it. Talk to Tony for a minute, and I'll
Go
see
ahead,
what I can
caller.
find.
You're talking to Tony. Go ahead.
I know.
I'll pass the phone over to Tony.
Yes, pass the phone over to me.
Someone else with bandanas, you did do it, but that's all right. I don't mind the topic. Jean-Claude Van Damme often wears bandanas.
Who?
Jean-Claude Van
Van
Damme.
Damme.
Oh, of course he was.
Yes.
Yeah, he was very big.
Okay, now look, I just the first solar-powered aircraft to fly was Sunrise 1, which took off on November the 4th, 1974 in California. Flew for 20 minutes, up to about 100 metres. So 1974.
Yeah.
Long ago.
Well, now, Nathan, we've got my brother's got it now. Jim used to own it. We've got a cockatoo, and it's over 40 years old. It's healthy. Even when it doesn't see me, it remembers me all the time. Even after a few years, it's incredibly healthy.
They are, and you know what they say, if you're going to buy a cockatoo, ask your grandkids if they want it, because they're going to end up with it, because they can live to over 100 years. They're quite extraordinary.
That is very funny. Good on you, Cobber. Nice to hear your voice always. My pet tortoise's two favourite flicks. This is for the pet tortoise. Favourite movies on Golden Pond.
Yes.
And The Colour Turtle.
Naturally.
133693. Look at that already. It's 12 to 3. Nathan Koch is here. I'm Tony Mack. Good morning. It is Australia Overnight. Drew in the bud. That's the rose bud. Drew, good morning.
Good morning, guys, and Merry Christmas to you both.
And to you. And yours.
It's well and Koshy. You've probably been asked this a million times, mate. When you guys take off, I'm not worried about, I am worried about it, but knots. I want to know in kilometres an hour how fast you're going when you take off. How fast is your cruising speed in kilometres an hour?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you actually hit the tarmac to land, how fast are you going?
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit before, but takeoff, it depends on the weight, it depends on the wind, it depends on the temperature, that type of thing. But we usually take off probably around 250 kilometres an hour. When we're in the cruise, and depending whether we've got tailwinds or headwinds or whatever, but we can go anything up to, say, 900 or so kilometres an hour, maybe even a bit more with a good tailwind. And when we land, then we're back at about, probably 250 kilometres an hour as well.
It's got me amazed how you guys actually do it. It's phenomenal.
Lots of training for you. Much
look,
training.
everything's always the things develop together. The instrument landing systems, the technology of the aircraft, the training of us. So the whole thing kind of develops all as one, and then we are where we are, and they're forever trying to improve things along the way. So yeah, it's the idea is to take off and land slowly, so you don't need to use, don't have to have great long runways in order to do it. And then obviously once we get going, we can sort of cruise as fast as we can to try and get you to the other end and do it efficiently, of course.
How's beautiful Rosebud leading into Christmas, Drew?
Absolutely magnificent.
And it's going to be chock a block, isn't it, over the next week?
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, you'll see the influx.
I went down to the Woolies today, and it is unbelievable.
All along the foreshore there, for those that don't know, all along the Mornington Peninsula there's year by year, families go there, and it's, many, second, third generation of the family that has the
tea tree
reserved, down on the tea tree on the foreshore there, and it is just, quite a community that develops there. And I think a lot of people like yourself that live there, Drew, they rent out their houses and nick off and go somewhere else to keep away from it all.
Well done, Drew. Always good to hear your voice. Thank you for being part of it. I don't know whether you happened to see the news, or you wouldn't have seen the news last night because you were still flying in, but they did, Channel 9 did, and I think the ABC did as well. They looked at those prisons which are just atrocious. We didn't know. I don't think many of us knew how atrocious those prisons in Syria.
Oh, yes.
Just awful. It's coming out now. What a dreadful...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, what a murderer. Oh, shocking.
And should be held really accountable somehow. Why don't we go to... Who's waiting ever so patiently? Wendy, good morning.
Oh, good morning, Nathan and...
Tony.
Hello, Tony, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I've been into a bit of a phase here. I wanted to ask about blue-green algae. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yes.
I live down in Drysdale, which is on the Bellarine, which is just fabulous, as Australia is, all over. And there's a lake, which I refer to as a lake, but looking at the sign, I can't really read it that well because I'm driving down a bit of a slope. Absolutely beautiful. There's so many different varieties of birds, water birds. Sometimes the pelicans probably come over from Werribee or wherever. They're beautiful too. But a couple of weeks ago, I drove down to have a gig and read, and blue-green algae. And there was a sign from the greater city of Geelong talking about warning people about the dogs shouldn't and swimming. I never see anyone swimming, but they do fish in there. Now, how dangerous is that for our water birds? Because the ducks were still going. There was about 7 varieties. Where does it come from, and how dangerous is a blue-green?
Look, it can be very dangerous, and in fact, just looking here, that the blue-green algae can, if a dog gets a big dose of it, it can kill within 15 minutes, and it works on the nerves. It's a neurotoxin, and it can also destroy the liver. So it is very bad, and that's why you definitely want to keep your dogs away. And as far as the birds on there, it's it's hard because you can't keep them away from it, and obviously they don't read the signs. So it's that it can cause them harm, but a lot of these species develop a tolerance for it as well. So I don't know of situations where you'll see sort of dead ducks and things in the water because of the blue-green algae. They seem to be perhaps a little bit more resistant to it, but someone who knows or has seen it might be able to tell us. But yeah, otherwise it's no good for mammals. So we need to be careful, and particularly your dogs, because they'll lick the water and everything, and it can actually kill them.
Wendy,
be careful.
Thank you for that. There's a really interesting note here, and I can't stress how important this is. And this is directed to you.
Yes.
Because the Earth is flat.
Yes.
Have you ever flown past the edge?
Can't say as I have. We could have a discussion we haven't got time.
It's the Flat Earth Society.
It is.
Kind regards, Flat Earth Society.
Yes. All I can say is there's a few things that tell me that it is actually round, but we can, next time I'm on perhaps, because I don't think we have time. But
we haven't. More straight after this. For those waiting, we'll get to those calls the other side of the news rather than rush. Nathan, you're going to leave. May I just say, compliments of the season
and to
you.
Tony. It has been an absolute privilege and a pleasure working with you. You are the consummate professional and a thoroughly decent person. And I love coming in and chatting with you and chatting with everybody, but I'm not going anywhere, so hopefully I'll still be talking to people over the summer break with Simon Owens.
Will you promise that you'll, even if they decide they don't want you, which they won't, they will want you, will you promise that you will be part of the program with me next year?
Yes. I promise.
All right, okay.
Absolutely. And, everybody, if I don't speak to people before Christmas because it's rather busy, then please have a very safe, healthy, happy and joyous festival season, holiday season. And stay safe and Festivus for the rest of us.
Festivus for the rest of us.
We can have our poll, a Festivus poll, and the feats of strength and the airing of grievances.
All of the
above. Joyous time.
Compliments of the season, Nathan Koch.
Thank you.
We're back straight after the news.
That's the sound of a sale on Shopify. Oh, and there's another. Whether you've got a side hustle or just want to supercharge your sales, Shopify simplifies and supports your selling process. From in-store point of sale to its all-in-one e-commerce platform that includes Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. And you don't have to learn any new skills either. See how Shopify can transform your business. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com.au/Deb. T's and C's apply.
G'day, I'm Tim Ross, and the Cars That Made Australia podcast is pulling out of the driveway for a second season. From the cars that conquered the mountain to the imported monsters that made a new generation drool. Every car you see on the road is like a chapter in our big book of stories. Season 2 is out now. This is the story of the people who drove them and the people who rode in them. This is the story of the Cars That Made Australia.